Imagine creating a product that tells the time, just like thousands of cheaper alternatives. Yet people willingly pay thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars to own it. Why? Because they aren't just buying a watch. They're buying trust, craftsmanship, achievement, and one of the strongest luxury brands ever built. In a world where smartphones can tell the time instantly, Rolex continues to thrive. Not because people need a watch, but because people value what the brand represents. This is the story of Rolex, a company that transformed a simple tool into a global symbol of success. Welcome to Empires. Let's begin. Chapter 1, a young entrepreneur with a bold vision. The story begins in the early 1900s. A young businessman named Hans Wilsdorf believed something almost everyone else dismissed. At the time, most people considered wristwatches unreliable. Pocket watches were the standard. They were seen as more accurate, more durable, more respectable. Wristwatches were often viewed as delicate accessories, especially for women. Very few people believed they could become serious timekeeping instruments. Hans Wilsdorf disagreed. He believed the future belonged not in people's pockets, but on their wrists. Great entrepreneurs often see possibilities long before the market does. Chapter 2, Creating the Rolex Name. Here's an interesting question. Why is it called Rolex? The truth is, no one knows for certain. Hans Wilsdorf wanted a name that was short, easy to pronounce, easy to remember, and easy to fit on the dial of a watch. After considering many possibilities, he chose one word: Rolex. Simple, memorable, timeless. That decision seems ordinary today, but branding matters. A great product deserves a great name. The strongest brands are often the simplest to remember. Chapter 3, Winning Trust Through Precision. Building beautiful watches wasn't enough. Hans wanted Rolex to become known for accuracy. At the time, many people doubted whether wristwatches could keep precise time. Instead of arguing with critics, Rolex chose a smarter strategy. It proved them wrong. The company pursued independent testing and earned respected certifications for accuracy. These achievements helped strengthen public confidence in wristwatches. Customers didn't just hear marketing claims. They saw evidence. Trust isn't built by saying you're the best. It's built by proving it. Chapter 4, The Watch That Survived the Water. Then came one of Rolex's biggest breakthroughs. In 1926, the company introduced the Rolex Oyster, one of the first commercially successful waterproof wristwatches. To prove its durability, Rolex didn't rely only on advertisements. The company demonstrated the watch's capabilities in real-world conditions. One famous example involved swimmer Mercedes Glitza, who wore a Rolex Oyster during an attempt to swim the English Channel. Although she did not complete the crossing in that attempt, the watch reportedly continued to function well after many hours in cold water. That story captured public attention. People began associating Rolex with reliability, not just luxury. The best marketing is often a product that proves itself. Chapter 5, Turning Achievement into a Brand. As the years passed, Rolex noticed something important. People didn't only want accurate watches. They wanted watches that represented achievement. Rolex became associated with explorers, pilots, scientists, divers, athletes, people pushing the limits of human performance. The brand celebrated accomplishment, not extravagance. Owning a Rolex gradually came to symbolize hard work, success, and excellence. Luxury isn't only about expensive materials. It's about the story people believe they're buying. Chapter 6, Building a Reputation That Lasts. While many companies chased rapid expansion, Rolex focused on consistency. Every watch, every detail, every customer experience. Instead of following every trend, the company refined its designs over decades. Many Rolex models remained instantly recognizable, even as technology changed around them. Customers didn't see this as a lack of innovation. They saw it as confidence. When your product becomes timeless, you don't need to reinvent it every year. End of part 1. Rolex had earned trust. It had proven its quality. And it had begun transforming a simple watch into a global status symbol. But the real mystery was still ahead. How did Rolex become one of the most valuable luxury brands in the world, despite producing a product that most people no longer need? Imagine walking into a luxury store, ready to spend thousands of dollars. You choose the watch you want. You have the money. You're ready to buy. And the salesperson says, "I'm sorry, it's not available." Most businesses fear running out of stock. For luxury brands, limited availability can sometimes increase desirability. Rolex has become famous for demand that often exceeds supply for many of its most sought-after models. Waiting lists, limited allocations, high demand. Whether driven by production capacity, retailer allocation, or strong global demand, the result is the same. Owning certain Rolex models can feel like earning access to something exclusive. Luxury isn't only about quality. It's also about rarity. The harder something is to obtain, the more people often desire it. Chapter 8, The Psychology Behind Rolex. Let's ask an interesting question. Why do successful entrepreneurs, athletes, and executives often wear Rolex? Is it simply because it tells time accurately? Not really. A Rolex communicates something beyond its function. For many owners, it represents years of hard work, career milestones, personal achievement, or the celebration of an important moment in life. People don't always buy luxury products to impress others. Many buy them to remind themselves of what they accomplished. The strongest brands sell emotions, not just products. Chapter 9, Marketing Without Advertising Everywhere. Here's something fascinating. Compared with many consumer brands, Rolex doesn't rely on constant discount campaigns. It doesn't flood stores with sales signs. Instead, the company has long associated itself with excellence. You'll often see Rolex connected with prestigious sporting events, tennis championships, golf tournaments, sailing, motor racing, and exploration. Rolex doesn't simply advertise a watch. It aligns its brand with performance, precision, and achievement. People may forget an advertisement. They rarely forget a symbol associated with excellence. Chapter 10, Why Rolex Watches Hold Their Value. Most products lose value after purchase. Cars, electronics, furniture. Many luxury watches behave differently. Some Rolex models have retained value well over time, and certain highly sought-after references have appreciated in the secondary market. Demand, limited availability, strong brand recognition, and collector interest all contribute to this phenomenon. Of course, not every Rolex increases in value. Market prices can rise or fall depending on the model and broader economic conditions. But the brand's long-standing reputation has made it one of the most closely watched names in the luxury watch market. Chapter 11, Innovation Without Losing Identity. Technology changes quickly. Smartphones replaced many everyday tools. Smartwatches introduced new features: health tracking, notifications, fitness monitoring. Yet Rolex didn't try to become a smartwatch company. It stayed focused on mechanical craftsmanship, precision, durability, timeless design. The company improved movements, materials, manufacturing, and reliability, but it didn't abandon its identity. Innovation doesn't always mean becoming something completely different. Sometimes, it means becoming a better version of who you already are. Chapter 12, A Global Symbol. Today, Rolex watches are recognized around the world. Collectors seek rare models. Professionals wear them to celebrate milestones. Families pass them down through generations. Unlike many consumer products, a Rolex is often purchased with the expectation that it will last for decades when properly maintained. Some become family heirlooms. Others become collector's items. Very few products survive changing trends. Rolex has done so for more than a century. When quality becomes tradition, a product becomes more than an object. It becomes a legacy. End of part 2. Rolex had mastered branding, built extraordinary trust, and become one of the world's most respected luxury companies. But the biggest lesson isn't about watches. It's about business. Look around you. Every year, new products appear. New designs. New technologies. New trends. And every year, many of them disappear. Fashion changes. Technology changes. Consumer preferences change. Yet for more than a century, Rolex has remained one of the most recognizable luxury brands in the world. How? Because Rolex never tried to chase every trend. Instead, it focused on building something timeless. The strongest brands don't follow fashion. They become classics. Chapter 14, The Obsession with Perfection. Luxury isn't created overnight. Neither is trust. Every Rolex watch goes through careful manufacturing and quality control processes before reaching customers. The company invests heavily in engineering, testing, materials, and precision. Its goal has never been to produce the highest number of watches possible. Its goal has been to produce watches that customers trust for decades. That's a very different way of thinking. Instead of asking, how can we make more? Rolex often asks, how can we make it better? Excellence isn't an event. It's a habit. Chapter 15, The Business Model Behind the Luxury. Many people believe Rolex became successful because it made beautiful watches. Beautiful design certainly helped. But beauty alone doesn't create an empire. Rolex combines several powerful advantages. Outstanding product quality. Strong brand identity. Controlled distribution. Long-term thinking. And consistent positioning as a premium brand. The company didn't try to become the cheapest. It didn't compete through discounts. Instead, it focused on becoming one of the most trusted names in luxury. Price creates sales. Trust creates loyalty. And loyalty creates legendary brands. Chapter 16, The 5 Lessons Every Entrepreneur Can Learn. Rolex's story offers lessons that apply to almost every business. Lesson 1, Reputation is your greatest asset. Products can be copied. Marketing campaigns can be imitated. Technology eventually changes. But a reputation built over decades is incredibly difficult to replace. Protect your reputation as carefully as your profits. Lesson 2, Think long-term. Rolex didn't become iconic through one successful product launch. It became iconic through decades of consistent quality. Businesses that think in years often outperform businesses that think only in months. Lesson 3, Never compete only on price. There will always be someone willing to sell cheaper. Rolex chose a different strategy. It competed on craftsmanship, reliability, prestige, and customer trust. When customers believe your product is exceptional, price becomes only one part of the decision. Lesson 4, Scarcity can increase value. Not every business should limit supply. But luxury brands often protect exclusivity by avoiding oversupply. Rolex reminds us that value isn't always created by making more. Sometimes, it's created by preserving what makes the product special. Lesson 5, Build something that lasts. Many companies chase short-term trends. Rolex chased permanence. The company focused on creating products that customers could wear, maintain, and pass to future generations. Businesses become legendary when they build products that outlive the moment in which they were created. Final chapter, More than a watch. When someone looks at a Rolex, they don't simply see gears, metal, or glass. They see a story, a symbol, a milestone. For one person, it may represent the reward for years of hard work. For another, it may be a family heirloom passed from one generation to the next. That's the real achievement of Rolex. It transformed an everyday object into something deeply personal. The company didn't convince the world that people needed another watch. It convinced the world that some moments in life deserve to be remembered with something built to last. That's the difference between making a product and creating a legacy. Imagine starting a company with a simple belief that a wristwatch could become more reliable than a pocket watch. Most people would have laughed. But Hans Wilsdorf didn't build for today's opinions. He built for tomorrow's possibilities. Whether you're building a business, learning a craft, or pursuing a lifelong dream, remember this. The greatest brands are rarely built through shortcuts. They're built through patience, consistency, relentless attention to detail, and an unwavering commitment to quality. Because in the end, people may forget the advertisements they saw. They may forget the prices they paid. But they rarely forget, a product that earned their trust. Every great empire, is built one decision at a time. And every legendary brand, is built one promise, kept consistently, over decades. Thank you for watching Empires. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more stories about the world's greatest companies, visionary founders, timeless business strategies, and the lessons hidden behind every global empire. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and remember, lasting success isn't measured by how quickly you grow, it's measured by how long people continue to trust your name.